Hey everyone, welcome to Geek Freaks. My name is Kevin and I'm joined by Scott.
How you doing?
And I'm joined by Tyler.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Psyched to be here.
We're with a B team today. They've got the ringers running this show today.
The unlikely trio.
The B team. I'm not even on the team.
Those of you unfamiliar with us, I'm Kevin. I do Pushing Buttons. I do Trek Freaks. Tyler is from round 3. Man, that show's a fun show to listen to, by the way. I'm just going to throw that out there right now.
Awesome.
And Scott has been a mainstay for Geek Freaks since before day one. So he's a big part of the Discord. He's the moderator there. He's a Twitch moderator. He's just always been a part of the community. And I'm glad to be able to talk with him here on the podcast today.
It's good to be here today, Bob.
Well, we got
Go ahead, man.
we got a lot of news to get to. But before we do that, I got a question for you guys.
Fire away.
What video game would make the best afterlife? And Tyler, why don't we start with you?
Man, I really had to think about this. I was pretty much the whole day I was thinking like, man, there are so many games that could work for this. And I think I'm picking it just based purely on nostalgia.
Okay.
I would say any of the Pokemon franchises would be a fantastic afterlife. Because just imagine, like, you're in the afterlife and you're like, all right, you walk into Professor Oak's, you get a free Pokemon, and you battle and you just get to take people's money. Like, it's great.
I thought you were going to say something about companionship and about, not having to worry about damage to your own self, but, money, yeah.
Yeah, well, that too.
Yeah, you just want us to be the best and take people's money. I mean, I'm down with that.
Right. Dude, I'm from the fighting game community. That's what it's about.
That's fair. What generation of Pokemon are you more familiar with, or what game would you want to live in or after live in?
Probably the Diamond and Pearl era.
Okay.
Not the newest ones that came out on the Switch, not the remaster, but the original. I mean, I played that game. I probably put 3,000 hours into it. I mean, it was it was my favorite game. I had complete Pokedex. I had All-Starter Shiny. I had all Legendary Shiny at one point, and then I gave the game to one of my friends, like fully completed, and he was like a competitive Pokemon player. So I was like, you could use this. So
nice.
So yeah, that's my answer. I think it would just be, I think the Pokemon would be a super awesome afterlife, fun ordeal.
Yeah, it seems relatively peaceful. I mean, very relative, but yeah, I would personally. I'm a dog guy. I've got a dog. My wife and I have a dog, and I don't think I go a single podcast episode without talking about her. So Pokemon would be a good choice.
Right? Yeah. No, I'm totally there. My wife and I are about to get a dog too, so
nice.
I think that kind of plays into it as well.
Awesome.
So,
all right, Scott. What about you?
I'm kind of torn between two. First, I mean, kind of Minecraft, right? I mean, you can do whatever you want in Minecraft. You can build things. You can build your dream home. You can travel the infinite world. But also, Grand Theft Auto.
I can see the similarities there.
Because it's like real life, but you can do whatever you want, and there's no consequences.
That's fair.
And everybody just gets rezzed at the hospital anyway, so like no harm, no foul, right? You can drive around crazy. You can go pay people for things. You can go rob people. I mean, it's just like whatever. You can live out any ridiculous fantasy with your friends, whether it's good or bad. And it's just like you're not really hurting anybody,
You can just fuse them together.
Yeah, like
it's like
Grand Theft Minecraft.
Grand Theft Craft.
Grand Craft Auto plus mining. I don't know. There's something there. There's something there.
Yeah, there's something there. But I do like the GTA one. I do really like that. I think that's a really good pick because there's no consequences. Like you just literally could get absolutely machine gunned down by the army, and you just walk up in the hospital and you're like, I'm fine, I'm good.
Yeah, just like pay your bill, go about your day. Like
yeah. That's a good choice.
Man, I feel really boring with my choice because I chose one of my favorite games of all time, and that's Star Wars Galaxies. but it's like the original version of it before Sony screwed that game up. And that's mostly because that game was all about living essentially a second life. It was like if Second Life, the game, was Star Wars. So you hang out with friends, you there's no like quest lines. You just basically do whatever the hell you want within the Star Wars universe. So that's where I'm at with that. I would love to live either as a Jedi or a bounty hunter, even like a droid engineer, be able to fly space and all that. Man, that'd be so much fun.
Yeah, it's super interesting that you bring that up because I feel like there are games out there that are like that are very successful, and you think that the Star Wars one like would have like continued on for like years on end, but like I don't know what happened with Sony in that game. So it's interesting. That is a good pick though, because like I mean, still you could be a bounty hunter and still like go out and have that action. Right. So it's like it's not that boring.
Oh, the bounty hunter.
Yeah, it's not like you picked like Hello Kitty Island Adventure.
Oh, I didn't think it. No, I'm just kidding. Oh man. So let's go for it, Scott.
Sorry, I just wanted to point out. I mean, the common theme between the three of us though is that there's a lot of freedom involved. To just kind of like play the game and pursue your dreams.
Yeah, basically stuff that you wish you could do while you're alive that we're realizing, no, we got to work ourselves until we're dead, and then we can live a life, essentially.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, in Pokemon, your character just runs around all the time, never gets tired.
Right.
Where's that? I need that in my life.
Be able to hop on the back of a Pokemon and be able to surf the ocean or something.
Yeah, no one ever sleeps. You ever notice that? No one sleeps in Pokemon.
Yeah. Huh. You don't have to pay any fees to go anywhere either. There's no like toll bridge or anything like that. You just go everywhere and they're like, all right, cool.
Are there even any cars in Pokemon in any iteration?
Nah, bro, no, just bikes. Bicycles.
Well,
that's the dream.
You can ride the Pokemon, so I essentially do call that a type of vehicle because you can like ride, like Ash rides Rapidash, like you can ride Arcanine, or like you can ride your Dragonair, like basically any flying type can take you anywhere. So
I changed my answer to Pokemon. I'm just kidding.
It's too late. You're already locked in.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Well, getting to the network news. We're going to be, and by we, I mean none of us here, but Frank and crew are going to be at Lodi Comic-Con coming up on May 8th. They're going to be doing a live Geek Freaks, a live Trek Freaks, and a live Disney Moms Gone Wrong recording each from there. I'm stoked to listen to those. I hear that the live recordings are always a lot more fun. Not a lot more fun, but they're a lot of fun because you don't get to do them very often. I have yet to be a part of that, but if I was local, I'd be going to that for sure.
The live recordings are very fun. My first recording with Frank was at Sacramento Gaming Con.
Oh, okay.
So I was a part of a live one, and it's so different compared to like just sitting down and doing it in like a official one.
Right.
Because you're just like so out there, you hear it in the background. It's so different. It's a different environment, and it's a lot of fun.
Nice.
So
it's something like the crowd is hyping you up, kind of thing.
Yeah. And you get like the kids walking by who are like, oh, what are they doing? Like they're all like curious, and they get behind you, and you can hear them like whining in the background that they're not getting a game or something, or like they're like, oh, what's this? Like you can hear all the commotion in the background that goes on.
That
so it's really cool.
It'd be nerve-wracking for me though, like especially doing Trek Freaks, because I feel like Star Trek fans are like the most hardcore, or some of the most hardcore fans, and if there's something like, oh, what's that guy's name, it's like somebody be yelling at me, make me feel like an idiot. It's that's so much pressure.
I mean, that's kind of
let them yell at you and then tell them to get a life.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I mean, yeah, it's like they'll yell at you, but you know what? It's fine. You just go on with it. You just say thanks right after.
My dog was checking on me. I had to see what that noise was.
Gotcha.
Yeah, actually, you should probably do what he told you. Just say thanks, because that's a little nicer. I'd tell him to get a life. It's Star Trek. It came out like before any of us were born, anyway. So
that's a fair.
It's point. It's like the dude yelling in the background. It's like, it's Captain Kirk. Thanks.
Speaking of Trek Freaks, we got a new Trek Freaks coming out this week. There's a Geek Freaks interview coming out this week, and a new round 3 as well coming out this week. So listen to
Yeah, a lot of new stuff to listen to, a lot of exciting things. I actually did the Geek Freaks. I did a Geek Freaks interview. Normally I don't do them, but I did ask Frank. You guys don't know this about me. I am a huge fan of Tetris, like biggest fan of competitive Tetris.
Okay.
And I actually got to interview one of their like PR representative guys. His name is A Game Scout. He does like all the YouTube videos on like his like his when he went to the Classic Tetris World Championship in 2018 and 2019, like his experiences there and kind of talking through that, how to build your own setup, how to get into competitive. Like he basically is that sole representative who's like making videos for everyone. So he has like videos with millions and millions of views. So I got to
Awesome.
interview him a little bit and just talk to him about the competitive Tetris world. So I think that might be the episode. I'm not sure though, but I know that Frank did message me about it saying that he was releasing one. So,
Nice.
and then yeah, and then the round three is I believe it's going to be the character selection episode. So how to pick a main character, how to get into the competitive area when you're choosing your main character in a fighting game. So very excited for you guys to listen to that. So
Heck yeah. I would do the same thing about Trek Freaks and say what episode we're talking about next, but I don't remember because we recorded it 2 weeks ago and my brain does not go back that far. So, yeah.
yeah, I couldn't tell you what I ate for breakfast. So
Wait, you eat breakfast? No, anyway. Let us move on to the news.
I have a monster for breakfast.
Nice. That's the best kind of breakfast.
it's a breakfast of champions.
That's what I hear. All right, so moving on to the news. We've got PlayStation is forcing devs to make 2-hour demos for the PlayStation Plus premium subscribers. There are some caveats to this, being that the games that are being forced are games that are wholesale at $34 or more. The demos are to be 2-hour minimums, or they can substitute it with a regular demo, but that's on a case-by-case basis through Sony. So it seems like a lot of hoops that they're going through to try to get some subscribers to this premium version of PlayStation Plus. Tyler, I think you've got some thoughts on this. What do you think about that?
With the demos, I think a lot of people see a negative in it because now the game developers have to, do this extra 2 hours of work to like, or not 2 hours of work, but like this extra work just to make this 2 hour demo to like, just to please Sony and get their game out there.
Right.
But I think the other part that I see is there's a huge opportunity for your game to get a really good following in a demo because it reminds me of like back in the day when you would go to like Target or Walmart and they had the game setups there and it was a demo little thing that you just played right there.
Right.
It reminds me of that because it drags you into the game, and that's how I actually ended up buying Disney Extreme Skate Adventure. It was a like Tony Hawk style pro skater game with Disney characters, and I never thought I was gonna like it because I was like, oh, I like, the Tony Hawk games are super cool. Like this Disney one can't be that good. So I played the demo for like the hour they had it for, and I was like, I'm so in. So I think there is a positive to it that it's going to draw more people into your game and give you that, commission and opportunity for you to really push out and get your game out there. So I think there's a lot of good in it. I think it's going to be a little bit tougher on the developers, and they're wanting to push the PlayStation Premium, which you're a big company, you're wanting to push your best products. So I see what they're doing, and it's going to be really tough on those developers. But if they can push through and make their demos look good, that's just going to boost their sales.
Scott, I know you play primarily PC games. When you are browsing through Steam and you see a demo available, do you tend to play those, or do they catch your attention more that way if there's a demo available?
I wouldn't necessarily say that. A lot of things don't actually really have a demo available.
It's more indie
Steam,
games that do now.
yeah, Steam kind of rides on their refund policy. You play a game for 2 hours. If you don't like it, you can return it. And what sort of bothers me with the Sony thing in relation to that is, sometimes you see these games that have 2 hours of fantastic gameplay. And then by hour 3, you're bored.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's because they're literally just trying to keep you for those 2 hours so you can't get your refund. Um, and even although like I played Cyberpunk, right? And I loved it. I played it all the way through. I think it's a great game. But obviously it's got problems. A lot of open world games do. Um, but I did notice, because the first time I started out, I just like blitzed through the storyline. The storyline really hooked me in, and I was like, I don't even care about this side quest nonsense. Um, and about 2 hours through the storyline, ran into my first bug. The first 2 hours was flawless. It's like they worked on that so hard,
Super
and then you could
polished
actually,
first
yeah,
first
super
experience.
polished 2 hours.
Yeah.
Now you can't refund it. And I don't understand why they're doing it for like their premium subscribers only, when what you could do is you could offer all kinds of free demos, right? And then you could say, but you can get this game if you subscribe. You don't even have to pay for it. If you liked it, subscribe. You get the game. You can play it. So I feel like the demos would actually work as a tool to market the subscription
I gotcha.
more so than market the game.
Sort of like a Game Pass situation that Xbox has going on. I don't know if they do demos for things if you're not a subscriber, but it's sort of a similar concept.
Right, yeah, to kind of market, they're like, hey, subscribe to us. And because I'm fairly certain that they have kind of the same Game Pass model where like you get free games you can play for the month or whatever. I think it would probably just be a good way to hook people into their Game Pass instead of giving people maybe a bad taste, when they spend the money on a game and 2.5 hours into it, the game sucks all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah, so I have the PlayStation Plus subscription. So you do get every month there's like 4 or 5 games, and then there's a ton of add-ons for like really popular games. So like for example in Fortnite there's like skins and all this kind of stuff that you get for free. Warzone, there's a ton of free skins and free random packages and that kind of stuff. Like there's a lot of free things for the larger scale games that already have a big following. So it's a bonus for those people who already have it. But the free games are always pretty, I would say pretty good. And they kind of work as I would say a demo, because if you don't have the subscription, then you don't have the access to the games anymore, which means you have to buy them. So like for me, for example, one of the games that I ended up picking up and I actually really enjoyed more than I thought I would was Sonic Team Racing. And I got that for free. And I played through it and I was like, man, this is just like a very, very intense version of Mario Kart. It's very, very similar to the structure of Mario Kart, but it's so like team oriented, and like when you're playing online with people, it's so different because you're actually racing in teams of 3, but you're also racing individually. So it's this weird concept of stuff. So I think that there is this place for these, more for the indie developer, because these indie developers are really pushing themselves and trying to make these amazing games. And if they have the ability to put out a demo to reach demographics of people who normally wouldn't play those games, it's just a huge opportunity for them to not only market themselves as a developer and as a game, but also Sony gets the ability to say, hey, this subscription is the reason why you found this game. You should keep it. You should hold on to it.
Yeah. It's nice that there is going to be kind of this push for demos again, because we haven't really seen large scale demos since like the old school demo discs on the PS2 and Xbox. I loved those things. You get an Xbox magazine, pop in the disc, and you get like demos to 9 or 10 different games that are coming out that may not even be out yet. And
yeah,
I do miss that. It does suck that it's being forced on developers. I think it should be kind of something that should be incentivized, like, hey, these are how numbers are going for these guys who have demos. Maybe you guys should make a demo for your game as well.
Right.
I don't think it should be just a one and done. Everybody needs to do this if your game is worth more than $34 to retailers or from a wholesale perspective. So there's, I don't know. I could go either way on it, but it's nice to see that demos are coming back.
Yeah, but you can see, I see like, there are a lot of really good games out there that I see for $20. They don't have demos, but like they're so highly reviewed and they're at that price point where like $20 on a game is not bad at all.
Right.
Like easy. Like one of the games that I actually am playing right now and I really enjoy is oh, what's the name of it? Wow, I just totally had a brain fart. Um, Lethal League Blaze, that's it. So it's basically imagine a fighting game mixed with dodgeball.
Okay.
And it's just this it's a crazy fun game. It was originally supposed to be like a $35 game because they were going to update the graphics and everything, but they dropped it down to 20 because Sony released this and they're like, well, if they're just going to do this to us, we're just going to, keep that 2D graphic like Street Fighter style and just make it $20 and make it affordable to everyone. And now it has like a small cult following. So there is the argument that not all the developers necessarily need to do it if you're at that $34 price point. There's a place for you to be able to drop down your price and just say what we can let go of some of the graphical stuff, we can let go of this, we can let go of that, and still gain that following. So there's an argument to both sides.
Nice. Well, did you have something else to say on that, Scott?
No, I mean, not too much. I mean, it is nice to see demos come back. I remember demos back in the day, the PlayStation discs, or you can find all kinds of demos on the PC. Um,
Mhm.
And especially, when you are looking at a game, a $60 game, and you're like, I mean, I could buy it, but is it worth it?
Right.
You know? If I could at least get in there and play it, um, even just for a couple hours, 2, 3 hours, it's definitely going to sway me one way or the other, most likely.
Nice.
And for indie developers, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of games. I could sit here and buy $5 games on Steam all day, and I mean, 90% of them probably aren't going to be very good. You know, and I think
Yeah.
we've all bought into early access hypes, and we've all been burned on video games, and
Mhm.
it sucks, because it just feels like you wasted money.
Mhm.
So demos are good, but I do see forcing them onto companies like, hey, you have to have a demo. I don't know. It's in the console wars. I feel like it's a bad idea to do anything that's going to alienate game developers.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
The software is the backbone of the company, like of the hardware. Like you can have the best graphics available on a PlayStation, but if you don't have the developers there to make the software for it, then what's the point?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Tyler brought up Sonic with Sonic Team Racing earlier, and so the next topic has to do with Sonic a little bit. Sega is now delisting several Sonic games, the early ones, Sonic 1, 2, 3 and Knuckles, and Sonic CD, from all digital platforms. This is because Sonic Origins is coming out in June. Man, this sucks. This sucks. On Pushing Buttons, Kyle and I have talked about digital versus physical before, and I'm on this retro game kick right now where I just bought a Sega Genesis. I bought Sonic 1 and 2 and Knuckles, and I'm looking for a complete box of Sonic 3 still. But man, this sucks. This sucks. What do you got to say about that, Tyler?
It's painful to hear it. It's really painful because they're great games. Like that was Sonic 2, Sonic 3, and Knuckles was the game that my parents and I all sat down and played through all the games together. So that was like it's sad to see that happen. But like, not every game is going to stay around forever. It will in its own way. For example, the people, like yourself, you're on a retro game kick, so go out, got yourself a Sega Genesis, you got yourself, Sonic 2, Sonic 3 Knuckles, all that kind of stuff, but not all of them are necessarily going off the market. There are the ones from the Nintendo Switch Online subscription that you're still able to play through their online subscription because they have the Sega Genesis. So you still have access to those
Right.
games. If you are a Nintendo Switch owner, if you have the online subscription paid for, you're able to still play those. Um, but in regards to just everybody else, like it's a tough spot because like you want to have those games, and I actually still have on my Nintendo Wii. I actually bought all three of those games, so I have them on the. It's not an emulator, but it's like they're like way
Right.
back when
Yeah.
console, like when they were putting them up on the Wii Shop. I had bought them, so I have them on my Wii already. So it's like it's not a huge loss for me personally, but like for those kids out there who haven't experienced a game like that, because 2D platformers actually outsell all 3D games, like by a large margin.
Huh.
If you're comparing the numbers between every single 2D game versus every single 3D game, it's a large margin. Even though 3D games are a lot more common now, it's still just like the 2D, you know, idea is still rock solid and people still love it. So it's a bummer, but there are still some great Sonic games out there. I know that we had been talking about it right before the podcast, you know, the Sonic Generations and what was it?
Sonic
Sonic
Mania,
Mania.
yeah.
Yes, those are both really good games that bring that 2D Sonic into the modern day and do a really good job of it. So I think there's still hope that, you know, there's going to be this good Sonic games coming out. I know that's really a hard thing to say sometimes because of the scars that Sonic has from the Xbox 360 and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But I'm excited for Sonic Origins. Like I'm curious to see what that game is going to be all about and what it looks like and all that kind of stuff. So
So, from my perspective, it's not so much a bummer because you're losing access to games, because most people that want Sonic games already, like you said, you own them on the Wii. I have my Xbox 360 disc version of the Genesis collection. I've got Genesis games on Steam, and now I have the actual Genesis cartridges themselves. It's just the fact that they're delisting one way to play a game in order to to drum up interest in another way to play it that they're just selling now. And Sonic Origins looks fantastic. I'm gonna buy it day one. That's not what, for me, that's not what it's about. It's kind of about taking away some of the history of it, you know? Like,
yeah,
Sonic Origins is going to be those 4 games, but there's going to be new ways to play them. They're not going to feel the same. They're high resolution. It's just losing some of that appeal that the retro feel of even playing an emulated version of those games has to begin with. So it's kind of a shame.
yeah. And I've done the comparison of like playing on an actual Sega Genesis versus playing on, you know, the WiiWare versus like I had bought my dad for his birthday. I bought him one of those like classic Sega Genesis
Right, yeah.
ones. So it had like, you know, the 25 games on it or whatever, and it had Sonic on there. So I tried all 3 of them, and like there's nothing is going to beat the original. It's not.
Right.
You just can't.
It's the nostalgia factor for me.
Yeah, yeah, you just can't. It's really hard to do that. I mean, even the one on the Wii, I'm like, there are just like these slight graphical differences that you just kind of feel when you're, you know, doing certain movements, certain jumps, all that kind of stuff. So there are things there, and they're, yeah, Sonic Origins is going to be reselling it, but I also, you know, kind of updating it, doing something new with it, I think will also drive some more interest as well in the Sonic gaming community. Just, you know, if they see the Sonic Origins game and they do some history look up, they're like, oh man, like what is this game? You know, like, you know, way back when, like what's the difference between these two? And so they'll get more interested into it. So I think there's a push and pull. So it's like they're pushing the games out and it sucks and they're not going to be the same and it's going to be really hard. But on the other side of it, it's like there's an opportunity. I think that people are wanting to see Sonic games really get pushed forward, especially with its history. So
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how it goes. I don't know if I'm gonna buy it day one, but I'm definitely interested in it. So
Yeah. Scott, I know you probably have some things to say about the business side of this. What do you think? Is this a good way for them to drum up interest in a new version of these games?
You know, when it comes to like Sonic specifically, you know, I mean, I played Sonic 2 back in the day. Who didn't? You know, anyone who had a Sega Genesis was playing Sonic 2. You know, I think I played Sonic and Knuckles once upon a time. So I mean, I don't have the fondness for the Sonic franchise that I do for a lot of other things, you know. But when it comes to, honestly, I'm just tired of every company trying to play off of nostalgia all the time. So you're going to take away Sonic in this fashion so that you can try to force people to go play remastered Sonic, because that's what it is. You call it Sonic Origins or whatever you want to call it. But it's just a remastered version of a game that's already come out multiple times for multiple, you know, different platforms. like just it just feels like I'm constantly being sold the same stuff
Yeah.
over and over and over again. And I'm just kind of over it, man. Like,
Yeah.
so many of these games, they're very cookie cutter. They're just like the last one, some of these franchises. And if you want to drum up, new Sonic business, then like just make a good new Sonic game.
Yeah.
I mean, how's that for like a revolutionary idea, And that's kind of how I feel about it. Like it's just nostalgia, this nostalgia that everything's a remake, everything's a remaster. It's very rare we get some hidden, some gem of like this is something great and new and fresh. It just feels like the same old stuff all over again, and it's all just a cash grab, in my opinion.
That's what I
Mhm.
was getting at with that, is that I feel like
Yep.
it's definitely a cash grab. Now, if they put a demo for Sonic Mania on Sonic Origins, I would love that, because I don't think that enough people have played Sonic Mania, because it's a completely different game, but it feels just like Sonic 3 and Sonic
Mhm.
CD. That game is
Mhm.
fantastic. That game should be
Yeah.
like, that game needed more. It's hard for me to get my hands on a physical copy of that, and I feel like that's a shame, because that game was fantastic.
It's very underrated. It's very underrated for the type of game it is, and like I've played through it. It's fantastic. It brings it back in a fresh way, and I totally agree with you guys that like they're kind of just slapping a new sticker on top of old Sonic games, and it's like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, there's another argument that's like, well, yeah, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But like, there's also this urge for wanting more and wanting something new and to change it up in a completely new way, the same way you did Sonic Mania. You know, there's that like just like what Scott said. How about a new game? Just make a new good game.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
it's right there. So
Yeah. To your point, they are changing the way you can play some of these games. Like, you can play any of them as Knuckles, which, big freaking deal, that whatever.
Mhm.
But there's a way to play them. I think they're calling it mirror mode, where you play the games in reverse. Like,
Stages in reverse. Yeah.
yeah. That sounds really cool. They're trying different things with it. I'm just afraid that they're gonna be like, oh, now get the DLC expansion pack where you can play any of the soundtracks from any game and any of the other games, and they're probably not gonna do that. But that's just my pessimistic
Yeah.
nature thinking that they
Don't
could.
don't give them ideas. They might be listening.
I think Sega learned a long time ago to not listen to me specifically.
Right.
Says
Someone from Sega here's this super like, yo, that's a good idea. Let's hire that guy.
with
They're not
Sonic.
gonna they're not gonna hire him. They're gonna be like, hey, did you hear this podcast? Yeah. You think this is a good idea? Yeah. All right, let's do it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, steal the idea rather than pay somebody for it.
He borrowed it. He borrowed
My
it.
bad. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, yeah, he'll give it back one day when you pay
Yeah.
for it.
Well, speaking of paying for it, Elon Musk. You've probably heard this if you're ever on the internet. You've heard not only that he is a very, very rich individual, but he is in the process of buying Twitter for 44. I think it's 44 billion, with a
Yep.
B, $billion. He has plans to take the company private, which I didn't realize that was one of his plans, was to take it private. He wants to make it the platform of free speech, which he says is the bedrock of a functioning society, which to his point is true. I don't necessarily agree with the way he means it, but that's neither here nor there. Scott, I want to lean on you with this one to start off with. What do you think? What are your takeaways from this?
Well, I like to start with a question. Do both of you actually believe that he's going to go through with this buy?
I think so. Simply because Elon Musk, when he said he was going to go to space, I didn't necessarily think that was going to be something that happened. And then it happened. And I think with Twitter, it's going to be one of those things where I don't understand why he would want to, but yes, I do.
I'm with the whole Elon Musk thing. It's like there's a part of me that thinks it's a little fairy tale esque, where it's like, oh, Elon Musk buys this, and it becomes this amazing freedom of speech platform. you know, and the same thing with like him going to space and it actually happens. So like, there's a part of me that's like, Elon Musk does what Elon Musk wants to. So if he wants Twitter and he really wants to do it, he's just gonna do it, and nobody's gonna stop him. So I think that he will. It's just maybe a matter of like when. Because this could be in talks for another couple months. This could be in talk for like 2 more days. So, but I think overall, I think it could very well happen.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's definitely a process that comes with things like this, and I'm not super familiar with the process because I've never had the unfortunate circumstance of being a billionaire dealing with these problems. Um, but sure, yeah, I mean, there's going to be plenty of lawyers, writing up contracts and going back and forth. The government's got to look at it and be like, is this, a problem for antitrust laws or anything of that nature? Um, so this isn't something that's going to happen tomorrow. Could be a few months. It could be as long as a year, depending. Um, and with that, there are places that have put up the capital for it, or at least, helped put up the capital for it. And I believe there is like $1 billion guarantee that if either party backs out of this buy, then that $1 billion has to get paid to somebody. So it looks pretty official. Looks like it's gonna happen. But my problem is there's two Elon Musks. There's Elon Musk, the businessman, right? The man who said we're gonna make an electric car and it's gonna drive itself. The man who said we're gonna go to space. Um, but right now, what we're seeing, and you have to understand Tesla has never been an extremely profitable company ever. Um, the price of the worth of their value of their stock is entirely on perception and future potential. So when you have the owner, CEO, super rich benefactor of it that's saying, I just want to go spend $44 billion on a meme, is really what it is. That looks kind of irrational to investors. And we've seen it affect Tesla stock already. Now, if you're a businessman in Tesla, I mean, Tesla is his flagship, SpaceX to a point, but like everyone thinks Elon Musk, they think Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
So is the is the fear of this Twitter buy affecting his other businesses enough to like pull him back? Because he's gonna have to dilute his own stock in Tesla to do this. Because he's gonna have to sell Tesla stock, and that doesn't look good to investors. Investors are gonna get a little spooked by that. We've seen that happen already. But then there's also Elon Musk, the Twitter meme lord, right? He's almost like the guy who, even though he's super rich and hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people around the world are just like Elon Musk bros, it's like he's still trying to fit in with the cool kids.
Yeah.
And that's where I think a lot of this comes from. He's like, I'll just buy it and do what I want. But what comes with that is, I mean, how are you going to do that in China? Twitter's in China. You can't just have a total free speech platform in China. You just can't. So are you going to take Twitter out of China? Because that's a really big market to be pulling something out of.
Yeah.
Are you going to pull it out of the EU? Because the EU has certain regulations against certain types of speech. You can't run Twitter there in the way that Elon Musk claims he wants to do. So is this just a real big stock manipulation plan? Did he kind of buy into his own hype and now maybe he's having second thoughts? I don't know. I almost feel like Twitter has just been calling his bluff this whole time, expecting him to not go through with it. But then it's kind of like he can't not go through with it because there's been so much hype around it, So I really don't know how it's going to turn out, but I think there's a lot that goes with it. And it's not just, I'm a rich man who wants to buy things.
I think it's kind of become a a self-fulfilling meme. Like when he first said that he was gonna buy Twitter, I took it as a meme, like, ha ha ha. And then it picked up traction. All of a sudden you've got news outlets talking about it. You got like Stephen Colbert talking about it. It's on late night. So it's one of those things that just blew up to the point where it's like, oh shit, I can't back out of this now. People are expecting me to do this. So that's why I'm thinking he's gonna do it.
Yeah, and that's what it is. I think it was just a meme. He thought it was just this is a joke, and now he's been pulled into this world of like, well, what do I do now? And I don't think that's a world he's in very often. You know what I'm saying? Us down here, the little people, we're in that world all the time. Like your car breaks down. What do I do now? Elon Musk doesn't have this problem often, but now he's staring at a $44 billion bill. Is what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure he wants to pay that bill quite yet.
Yeah, I don't know when he's actually gonna like go through with it. It might take, a lot of time for him to actually, go through, make sure it's, exactly what he wants it to be. I thought it was interesting towards the end of that article that we were looking at that Elon Musk had talked about making it subscription based. And that was in the talks. So I don't know if you have any opinions on how that could work, Scott, or if that would influence anything in any way. I just thought that part of it, I was like, man, if you turn Twitter into a subscription, like you're going to lose a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, that's all speculation. I mean, that's another thing that he did throw out there. Whether he would or not, I mean, who knows, at this point. But yeah, I think Facebook has kind of probed that idea in the past. At least there were always rumors, right? Everyone got those little Cheney bills like, on June 3rd, Facebook's going to become a subscription unless you pass this chain email along, whether it was true or not, I don't know. But I'm pretty sure Facebook has probably looked into that in the past. And the truth is, there's enough social media out there. We don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, I don't really care if this happens. Like, Twitter is just another Facebook. Facebook was just another MySpace. MySpace was just another message board. I mean, there's always places to go. There's always things that can replace it if something gets ruined. I'm not saying that Elon Musk owning Twitter would necessarily ruin it, but it would probably ruin it. There's just always other places to go.
I'm not saying he would ruin it, but it might go south.
Yeah, I mean, there's no telling where. Oh, my phone's ringing. Yeah, I mean,
tell Frank to stop texting you.
God dang it, Frank!
That's Elon Musk. He's already on us.
Oh yeah, Musk is talking to you already.
To us right now. He's like, "Hey, don't put this episode out. I'll give you $1 billion. I won't put it out. Thanks."
He's like, "You didn't hear that I bought Audacity as well?"
Could you imagine he buys Audacity?
Oh my god, a free piece of software
out of nowhere. Yeah, just out of nowhere.
That's how we know he's been listening to us.
Just like Sega.
He buys out Geek Freaks.
I don't think that would happen. I think we're worth more than $44 billion. I'm just gonna throw that out there. But that leads me to my next point: is what the heck is $44 billion? Like that's just an amount of money that's so unfathomable by somebody like me that just I don't live necessarily paycheck to paycheck, but it's
I want to put. Oh, go ahead.
It's just so much goddamn money that isn't even worth it.
Right. Well, to put it into perspective, like there are like 8 billion people in the world.
Right.
8 billion.
Yeah.
That's $1 a person.
Times
and
5.
That's not even. Yeah.
And
that's
a half.
not even. That's not even covering a fifth of the money that's being spent on that. Like I can't.
He give $5 to everybody and still have $4 billion left over. I mean.
Yeah, which is crazy because like, it's hard to quantify a billion of something. Like it's so hard, like even money wise, like the only thing I really could maybe think about quantifying it in is like grains of rice. It would probably be the only way I could be like, okay, 1 billion grains of rice. It makes sense, but I don't know, just like quantifying that number money wise is just insane.
Yeah. So like trying to think of is Like, what is Twitter worth? How is it worth 44 billion? What is 44 billion? And why does Elon Musk want it to begin with? Like, these are just questions I don't have answers to.
I don't think anyone really does.
Musk gonna
I guess
Musk.
Elon Musk does.
Hopefully.
Elon Musk probably flipped a coin for it. He's like, heads is 44, tails is 23. Just flipped the coin.
And then, like, didn't even look at the coin because what the fuck is a coin to him? He has 44 billion that he's wanting to spend on one thing.
He flipped a Bitcoin.
Oh, shit.
He's just got Bitcoins laying around the house for funsies,
Oh, man.
Or a Dogecoin. Just flips one of those.
Oh,
man.
Well, I am done talking about Elon Musk for a little bit. Let's move on to some fun stuff. CinemaCon is coming up, I believe, soon. I forgot to write down the date that is happening, but it's basically the Comic-Con for movies. I had to note that for myself because I've never heard of CinemaCon before. Frank is now regretting having me host as he's listening to this. A lot of movies were announced, with some with release dates, some without, and others with like full descriptions and stuff. From this list, do you guys have any takeaways or anything that stands out to you guys?
Scott, go ahead. You go first, brother.
All right. So just a heads up, CinemaCon is April 25th through the 28th.
That's why you're here.
So it's over.
Gotcha. Oh, okay. CinemaCon happened, and that's when they announced the stuff. It was during CinemaCon. I got it.
It ended 2 days ago. It was at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. If you were there, congratulations. If you were waiting for us to let you know, I'm sorry we missed it.
You're a little late to the party.
So. Yeah.
It's been a long day.
For having us, Frank. This is what you get for having us host.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a terrible podcast guest, and I have no idea what was announced at CinemaCon.
Okay. Do you have any?
So
Tyler?
I have two that I'm pretty excited about. Just kind of looking at the list of them. One of them is a musical that my wife and I enjoy very much, and I didn't know was becoming a movie. It's Wicked, and I'm very excited to see that as a movie, especially in 2022. Kind of just looking it over. Ariana Grande is going to be in it. She's, a really good singer, I would say. Yeah, she's very good at what she does. So I'm excited to see where they put her in the casting of Wicked, like what character she's going to be and all that kind of stuff. So I really think that's going to be a great movie. Just a lot of the musicals, I would say overall, there are a couple that may not be as good as others, but I would say overall the movie, transition of it works well in telling the story behind the musical.
Okay.
So that's one of them I'm pretty excited about because, we're big fans of it. We'll probably go and see it whenever it releases. The other one I'm excited about is the Doctor Strange 2 coming out because Doctor Strange was a fantastic movie. If you have not seen that movie, go see it. Rent it, buy it, get it on DVD. I don't care.
My wife and I have tickets to go see the new Doctor Strange movie this coming Sunday, actually.
Oh,
a week from tomorrow after recording.
It's so good. I'm not going to overhype it for you. It's not like the best movie in the world, but it's pretty good. It's a good movie.
Nice.
So I would say those are two I'm pretty excited about because I'm interested to see where they go with the second Doctor Strange movie, the continuation of his story, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'm not interested in this, but I wanted to talk about it. They announced a bunch of Avatar sequels, like to James Cameron. Is that the guy? Yeah.
I think so.
To his Avatar movie, not The Last Airbender, but the blue guy movie. And finally, one of them is coming out this year, sounds like, in December, and that's Avatar: The Way of the Water. I don't care at all for Avatar. I was one of the few people that seemed to not care for it at all. I actually fell asleep with the 3D glasses over my normal glasses in theaters while watching this shit. It was such a long just story that I've been told and watched movies of over and over again throughout my life. So the fact that they announced so many sequels and one of them's coming, yippee.
Yeah. I mean, like, I feel like Avatar kind of got into this like documentary esque vibe when you started watching the movie.
Yeah, yeah, a
Like
little bit.
kind of got into that a little bit, where it's like, okay, we get this. There's a story. Like you don't need to narrate it 4 different times. Like you know what I mean? Like, but I think that there's a fan base for the Avatar movies.
Oh
I
yeah.
think that the story is great. Do I think it's a little bit too long of a movie? Yeah, I would say it's a little long for me personally, but that's just my own opinion. But I'm excited to see where they take it because these sequels might be shorter because they maybe are coming out with so many of them. They're like, we have 14 hours of, we're not releasing a 14-hour movie. We're just going to release them in like 2-hour chunks, which would be perfect and ideal, I think, for that style of movie because the 3-hour movie was a little rough. A little rough to sit through. I mean, I know that yours was like sleeping through half of it, but at least for me, I'm like at the 2-hour mark,
Yep.
I'm like, at this point, I'm gonna go out, get some food, come back.
Did you ever watch Avatar, Scott? Or do you care about any of the sequels?
Yeah, I mean I didn't watch it in 3D because I actually wear glasses. I need them to see far away, so I don't wear them in the computer.
Mhm.
Um, but I do wear glasses, and I actually the first 3D movie I went to go see after I had glasses was the other Avatar movie, which was not a good movie, by the way.
Mhm.
But yeah, the whole 3D glasses over glasses, it sucks. I don't like it. I don't do 3D movies. Um, but I did go see Avatar in theaters, and I thought it was great. But I'm kind of with you guys on this one. It was just too long. I did stay awake, so I'm better than Kevin. But
That's not hard.
there's there's times when like it's come on Netflix, and I'm like, I want to watch this again. It's a good movie, right? And I have never successfully sat there and watched it again. And I think that's kind of telling because I've watched The Lord of the Rings so many times. The extended edition,
Yeah.
I don't
Mhm.
care, but I cannot sit there and watch the Avatar movie all at once. I just can't.
Yep, I'm right there with you. And it's weird too because I can watch like the original Star Wars trilogy back to back, like all three of them in one sitting, and be okay. And that's like 6.5, 7 hours worth of movie. I can
Mhm.
watch probably 1.5 of the Lord of the Rings extended cut before having to get up and take a break, and then maybe the next day watch the other half. Yeah,
Mhm.
Avatar, I couldn't get through.
Yeah, I think with like, because I'm in this place where like I didn't hate the story premise of Avatar, but I think they just overtold the
Yeah,
story of
I
Avatar.
hear you.
So I think there is this middle ground that we can find with the movie. Hopefully that they realized like people are not going to want to sit through a 3.5 hour movie or however long it was, to make it a little bit shorter, and really emphasize the key elements in the story and let the other parts kind of play themselves out as you progress through the other, movies and stuff. So I'm interested to see where it goes in the grand scheme of things. But I do think it's a great story. I want to get that across. It's a great story, but I think it was just overtold in the first movie, so I want to see where it goes in the next one. And it's I love that you talked about the original Avatar, the Avatar: The Last Airbender, because I love that. I love that show. I actually just went today and picked up some factory sealed, like Magic the Gathering style cards, but for Avatar.
Huh.
So I was like, these are pretty sick. But yeah, I'm interested to see where the Avatar movie goes.
I'm wondering if because of the success of all the MCU movies and how long a lot of those are, if that's what they're going to be going for because they announced like I think 7 sequels to this movie already like years ago. And this is finally the first one we're getting. I wonder if they're
Seven.
kind of yeah, it's something like that. I don't know if they've scaled back since then. I
I don't
could have
know.
missed something in the last, 4 or 5 years, but yeah, I wonder if they're going to be taking kind of an MCU approach where they're going to introduce different characters and I don't know. It seems like a lot of companies are trying to bank off the success of Disney's success with Marvel. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing because they are very successful. So if you're going to emulate someone, may as well be them.
Right. Couple other movies that just kind of list them off because they're on the list. I think some people are excited for is the Batman 2 is coming out. I don't know the exact release date, but Batman films are just so great. I still haven't seen the new Batman. I'm wanting to go and wanting to see it in the theater. I've been trying to find a way to be able to do that. Black Adam is releasing. The Shazam, I would say like the Venom of the Shazam world. So I'm excited to see what they do that. The Rock is a fantastic actor, so I believe that that character is going to be played very well, especially by him. And then one of the other ones, Amsterdam. Never heard anything about that. Just one of the other films that's listed on there. But yeah, I'm excited because and Ghostbusters. We're doing another Ghostbusters movie, and my mom's entire side of her family are huge Ghostbusters fans, so I have a feeling that they are going to see that one. I personally probably won't, but it's just exciting to see that they're taking these and still making movies out of them. So
Yeah. I haven't seen Ghostbusters Afterlife. I think that's what it's called. I haven't seen that yet, but I'm very happy that they're getting a sequel because I hear it was a good movie. Like it's just a fun, like a family friendly movie. I'm
yeah,
excited that they're getting a sequel. They also announced Venom 3 without a release date on that
yes,
list as well.
yes, and I didn't know there was a Venom 2, but I know
That's
Venom
what
is
I'm in.
yeah, Venom is I would say in my top five for like I almost want to call him an anti-hero in some cases because like he's not I wouldn't say he's 100% a villain all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah,
it
and I think that's what they went for in the movies is that he's
mhm,
an anti-hero.
Yeah.
Like he'll kill people, but only bad people, so it's okay.
hmm, yeah, so it makes it good. So
I'm skipping that last part of the news. I didn't read on Frank's notes. I didn't read through
yeah,
that other part of the other article and stuff. And
I did touch on it a little bit because it just kind of caught my interest. It's basically talking about what are they going to do to improve security in Comic Cons, CinemaCons, and that kind of stuff. Because I guess it was a lady came into one of the CinemaCons to like one of the people who was on the panel and tossed her personal documents from from some lawsuit that was going on,
oh, they served her
and she
papers.
had
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and she had no right in being there and had no idea how they got through. So they're basically talking about how, the ways that they can crack down on security and making sure that the environment of, the Comic Cons and that kind of stuff is a safe environment where people don't feel like, something like this will happen.
gotcha.
So I'm wondering from like, because I've never been to Comic Con or anything like that. So it's like I know how big events run because I used to work as a security guard. So I understand, the premise of working a large event and understanding the importance of, all the people who are going to be there and it needs to run in such a way and you got to, thoroughly check everything. So I want to know from like your guys' perspective of if you guys have gone to any types of cons or anything, like what makes that like do you feel safe in those environments? Is there things that can be improved on? Like what things are there that you could see them improving on so that in an instance like this where somebody in that cinematic universe like doesn't feel like somebody's going to come up and serve them legal documents.
Yeah, I've never been to a con before. Um,
Mm,
I don't like people, like groups of people, so I already
yeah.
don't feel
Yeah,
comfortable or
yeah,
safe in
yeah.
large groups. So
Yeah.
I don't know what specifics. I feel like that's kind of a me problem, not a convention problem. So I don't know what specifics to
Well, even
talk
just
about there.
large scale events in general, if you've been to anything like that, I mean, at least for me, my main point would just be having the bodies for it because I know that it's really tough, especially if you're doing it as a volunteer position. You're not going to get a lot of bodies. Whereas if you're getting a third party company to hire these people on to do the extra security for it, you have to invest a little more and you might not make as much money off of it. But it's going to offer at least that security and safety that they're looking for. So I think it's more about just investing in it more rather than just like, okay, we're just going to put dudes who are in, khakis and a polo with a metal wand. and that's that's what they get. There's nothing else there. Like if you're really staging it in such a way where you're like looking through bags and being thoroughly detailed and have like a way of getting everybody in and out in such a way. So that was really just the main part of the article. So
Gotcha.
Scott, I didn't know if you had anything on that or anything in that
I mean,
manner.
not too much. I mean, I'm with Kevin. I don't really go to cons.
Yeah,
I'm not big on crowds.
right.
Um, but I will say, my girlfriend, she went to NecoCon, which is, or no, KatsuCon, which is one that happens in DC, like in the DC area every year.
Mm,
Um, and we did have one, where we're from down in Hampton, Virginia, which is NecoCon. And I've had friends that have gone there, so I've heard about it. And everyone seems pretty comfortable there. I've
mm,
never heard anything about, stuff like this, but I think it's definitely something that's been spotlighted recently, you know, and maybe it's because we're paying a little more attention after like, with COVID and everything. A lot of places were cracked down on like, are people getting in with their, they've been cleared with the vaccine or and stuff like that. We had the concert, what was it, Travis Scott, I think it was,
mm.
where the concert was just overblown past capacity because people were just sneaking in. It's like, okay, one or two, sure, but like, how did just tons of people sneak into places and make an unsafe environment just by being there? There's just too many of them.
Yeah.
And then yeah, like how did this lady get past security and everything to just walk up to a stage and serve someone legal documents? you know um I mean, you pay a pretty penny to go to these conventions, some of them, so like what's that money going to? And is security any sort of a priority or not? And I guess that's the big question everybody's asking. Like, well, is this sort of thing something that could be commonplace and we've just never noticed it?
It's a good point. It's a good point. Yeah. Um, I don't know how Frank closes out an episode of Geek Freaks. I don't think I've ever paid attention to that. Um, if there's nothing else that you guys are gonna say, I'll do an outro or something. If you guys are.
I'm
Yeah,
just,
man. Well,
I mean, for me, I just had a good time doing this because, like, it's fun to be able to do podcasts with different guys from different parts of the podcast. So it's cool to be able to sit down with you guys, from Trek freaks and somebody who's been here for the old guard and is been here since before day one. So it's cool to like be a part of it as like the brand new guy almost,
Yeah, it
where
was,
it's like
but
it's
then like I'm
cool.
also kind of the brand new guy because I just sit on Discord and talk shit. That's my talent.
Hey, you get to talk shit now. So if you want to get it out to Frank, you may as well put it at the end of the episode.
Frank, you suck. No, Frank's great. I
No,
mean,
Frank's awesome.
like Taff and I, we met playing World of Warcraft. God, what was that? 2008, I think. So, I mean, that's where we met. And we've just been friends since then. And it's one of those friendships where sometimes I'll go off and I'll play another game.
Mhm.
And he'll still be playing like World of Warcraft or whatever at the time. And I'm like, nah, screw that game. The game sucks. So I'm gonna go play something else. Every times we wouldn't talk for like a year.
Mhm.
And I'd be like, hey, there's new expansions coming out. Are you playing? And it's like our friendship never stopped.
Yeah.
It's just like I don't have to be up your butt every day for us to still be cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, ever since I found out about his, he started this podcasting, thing, and I just wanted to be here to support him. And I just know he needed people for today. So, that's mostly why I'm here. But, yeah, I mean, I had a good time. I think your name's Tyler, right?
Tyler. Yep.
Tyler. Tyler, you're more positive than I am. Like he's
I
got a
wasn't gonna
positive
say it.
he's got a positive spin for everything, whereas I'm pretty pessimistic and Kevin's kind of in the middle. So I think it worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been cool to just like be a part of something different because like on my channel it's all fighting game stuff, all fighting games all the time. And it's like it's cool to be able to talk about movies, talk about old school games, talk about just a bunch of different stuff. So it's been cool to be a part of. So Frank, thanks for letting us take over the show. If you ever feel like taking a break again, the B team you can call.
Oh, at this point, I was gonna say that I don't think we're the B team anymore. I think we're like neck and neck with whoever else Frank wants to put up there now. So
We are the A minus team.
I'll agree with that. The A minus team.
Make the shirt, Frank. Make the shirt.
Yes, Scott needs to be represented on a shirt finally.
Geek Freaks A minus.
A minus.
Yeah, it's got to have like a shoulder patch or something.
Yeah, the A minus crew.
Yeah,
I'm in on that.
all right, guys. That's all.
This.
That's all we got for you this week. I think Frank will be back next week, but if not, you've got more A minus people coming by. So join us next week. And like I said, there's a round 3 Geek Freaks interviews and a Trek Freaks all coming out this week. So stay tuned and listen to those as well. Thank you for listening. See ya.
See ya.
Later.